Hello and welcome back to Somehow We Manage episode 3. We are about to put this one in the books. It will be uploaded tomorrow on YouTube at Podcast SWM at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm here with my good buddy Sam. As always, how are you, Sam?
Oh, I'm alive. How about you, brother?
I am killing it. Well, not really killing it. I've been exhausted all week. I don't know what's been going on, but it's just been such a tiring week between work and just like the amount of snow we've gotten. I I don't even know how to explain it to
That's
you.
yeah. Coming from San Diego, I have no idea what snow really is, to be
it's
honest with you.
it's that white powder stuff that's not Coke. I know you see that a lot probably down in California, but
Oh yeah.
damn, I'm already getting canceled with Californians. Um,
Nah, 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 nah. They know
nah,
better. They know.
they know what they're doing. Okay, wait, isn't Hollywood Hills in Southern California? Forgive my poor geography.
Yeah, no, it
No,
is.
all right, yeah, no, there's a lot of snow going on around there. You should know what that is.
Yep. Throw some shade at them.
Bruh, I don't know. We got hit with fucking a foot of snow. I don't even know if it actually hit a foot, but 12 inches is a lot bigger than most people think. Giggity.
Yeah, I was about to be like, yeah.
No, what's even worse is I shovel my driveway, right? It's all downhill. My driveway is a downhill driveway. So it's not too hard to like get it up and like get it out of my driveway. But when it's a foot of snow and the plow driver that plows our road decides that he's just gonna plow straight and not like clear out the front of your driveway, it adds an extra like 4 or 5 inches to that foot. So the front of my driveway was just covered in like 16, 17 inches worth of just a snow. Heavy, wet snow.
Oh, that is rough.
I thought I was gonna throw out my freaking shoulder shoveling it.
That's a sign of getting old, though.
Damn it, I'm gonna be freaking making jokes on me eventually. I threw out my shoulder doing it. I'm gonna be honest, I really did. I felt the rotator just starting to hurt. I was like, yeah, this hurts. Ugh. But yeah, episode 3. We don't really got much topics as per usual. Just kind of yapping and going where the flow takes us. But I don't know. I gotta touch on the tired a little bit too. Just like burnout, kind of a good
Yeah.
starter there. I don't know. I don't know what makes me so tired or like suddenly lose interest in projects, which is like interesting because I have a passion for them, but I'll be honest, I haven't even touched like team growth in a couple weeks now. Like I haven't done anything.
I- You know, I don't think that is like as not to create like a negative headspace or not kind of understand where you're coming from. I think that's relatively normal, especially like I come to find out that people do believe in the 3-3-3 rule, where it's like getting to know someone within the first 3 seconds, 3 minutes, 3 hours, and then there's like the 3 day rule, the 3 month rule, the 3 year rule, whatever it is, 3 weeks, add in whatever threes.
Mhm.
I think you're kind of at that point with like team growth and the rest of them, maybe if I'm getting the timelines correct.
No, since September, you're actually like right on the money right there. September, October,
But th-
November, December. I guess 3 months, 4 months. It's been 5 months almost.
Almost.
But even then,
But
I didn't
you're
start
kind of
out the way I am now.
yeah, you're just getting into the groove of things. And I think that's the difficult part is once you found that groove, it almost gets a little too natural, and then you start feeling like you aren't doing much. So
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
mean,
worry about it.
I'm not really worried about it. It's just I'm afraid, like, I've been burnt out before. Like, I know you have. We've both been on a project that we both got burnt out of ourselves.
Ugh,
But it's more of just the fact of, like, what can we do? Like, what can a person do, really? Like, and we don't have the answers. I definitely don't. You have a little bit more of a psychology background, but I don't have
ugh.
answers because, like, yeah, I push, 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 but at the same time, like, I know, like, I'm smart. I like to take breaks. I like my own time, and I have a life outside of gaming. I have everything else outside of it. So why is it when I'm 5 months in. Like, why am I all of a sudden like I don't? This is hard. Like, this is so hard to even just like sit at my computer and message.
I don't. Again, I think there's just this natural inclination of
Success.
yeah, the expectation of success, and then not seeing kind of the immediate results, or not even, I wouldn't even say immediate results, but the direct expected results, which is kind of scary. Um, but I think all in all, like not measuring, I've heard so many different ways of doing this, either measuring your successes or not measuring your successes. I think you need to take into consideration what your successes are, and then moving from there, if that makes sense, right? Understanding where it's at, and then accepting and being happy with those results,
So
and then moving to what your next objective is.
yeah, what about? And here's like the thing is like everybody has goals walking into a project. Like you're supposed to set goals when walking into a project because then you have a line of to follow reaching those goals, right? Is it? And this is me asking like psychology, Sam. Is it better to set long-term goals, like a significant long-term goal to meet? Like, say 6 months down the road, I want to sign a challengers team. Or is it better to set shorter goals that you can meet within short periods of time? Like, say, I just want to get an uploaded video. You know, I want to finally be able to finish one
Ooh,
of these edits.
ooh, that's a great question. I think, and I'm not to defer it, but I think it really depends on what has been successful for you in the past, and if there hasn't, if you haven't seen a pattern of work, I would suggest setting some short-term expected goals. Like, I'm trying to think of something equivalent. Like, let me send out a couple of, I mean, I disclosed this when we were talking after the podcast last week. Let me send out some poke emails or some messages and see who I can get a hold of. So it's not, um, so I have some movement towards what the objective is. And if those don't work, then maybe I have to set that long-term goal of, or make it more permanent. Maybe that's the way of saying it. You can set a long-term goal, but making it permanent, that long-term goal is a little scarier. So if I email 3 managers about a League of Legends roster that we were interested in, that is a short-term goal. And those are really good ones. And mind you, those will then, if let's say 1, 2, and 3, right? 3 options. Either one doesn't respond, one says no, and one says yes. Well, then you're setting more incremental goals to that long term one that isn't necessarily permanent, but it's in the back of your head, right?
Yeah.
It's already moving towards that big end goal. But if none of those are happening, let's just say like nothing's really moving forward. If you can't, for instance, you can't find an email, and you're having to go through other people, um, which we did successfully to a certain extent,
Tough.
um, but the problem was, I mean, if you look at the long term of this, again, even though I had reached that short term goal where I did have a contact to reach out to, by the time it had already matriculated through, that long term goal wasn't really one that was sustainable, right? But that's not something to be upset about. I was able to get to that point, but it kind of got, it didn't really materialize. But I'm happy, right? Like
Yeah.
I think I talked to this, but I'm happy we got to that point. I'm happy that I got to that point. I'm happy you got to that point. You're like the, I mean,
So
the South Park meme of like your deck is so big. Um, your deck was almost perfect.
this is
So
gonna be the episode of innuendos, isn't it?
yeah,
Fucking
I
hell.
hope so.
But let me interrupt you real quick, cause like,
Yeah.
here's and like this might just be my own mental instability, and I will fully put that on the table. But what happens if those short-term goals aren't bringing you the satisfaction, and you reach that long-term goal, and it's just it falls? What do you? How do you bounce back from something like that? Cause like you can
Mm.
set short-term goals, but you may not be getting the satisfaction because I sent 3 messages or I sent 4 messages and one, yes, but it wasn't my first choice. You know,
Yeah.
you set those expectations for yourself, and then that's gonna cause, and that's a lot of my burnout here is that I've reached out to so many people in so many like different aspects, and like being a consultant, I'm touching on every part of the industry as much as I can, you know. But I haven't heard back from people. Haven't like in those short term goals. Like, yeah, I sent the messages, but the goal was to get somebody. So what happens in that scenario where it's not giving you the satisfaction of reaching your goal? Because yeah, you did it, but it wasn't done to your standard.
Okay. I will quote my friend in saying this. It's a D&D metaphor. Um, if you're locked in a prison and you don't have the key, you don't have any sort of spells to get out of it, start asking about the HP of the walls or the HP of the of the grate that's in
Huh.
front of you or the jail cell. Because sometimes you have to make a fucking window, right? There I go back to I sent a message out to at the time it was Ad Finum and um OG, Team OG, the Dota team.
Boston major vibes you're giving me. I went to that major. I was there for finals.
I reached out to both teams for one of my rosters and literally got nothing back. And I finally found the owner's Instagram and, or sorry, Twitter at the time, not Instagram. And I literally sent a message to both owners. I was like, "Hey, I haven't heard back from your emails yet. Can you tell me what's going on with this?" And literally, OG and Advenom hit me back and they're like, "Okay, we're interested." And at the point, Advenom had been like, "Oh, we can move you to Greece so you can play in the Euro leagues for Overwatch." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Like that's making a window, right, out of nothing because
Yeah.
like even though the email isn't there, um, it's a little manipulative, not gonna lie, but when you're in that position, when you're in the positions we're at, and anyone that's listening, like you have to make a fucking window sometimes. And I'm gonna quote my friend, call him Cosmic Butt Love, so I don't dox him too much. He's my friend of over 11 years, and that piece of advice has stuck with me. Like, just make a fucking window. If you need to find a higher up, like take some time, reach out to a mentor, reach out to other people in the scene to see if they know someone who can get you in contact. Like it's like the most boomer way of saying like why don't you just walk into the door and ask for a job? Well, in the esports realm it's kind of still like that. So,
True. I mean,
it's just hard.
yeah. Well, and even like, I mean, I reached out to a director, a gaming director, not too long ago, and I think you'll remember me sending you the message that I sent them. But
I
they
do.
they just made an announcement that all the positions were filled, and I never received a message back.
And that's a problem in esports that has been continually a reason why I mentioned about, I mean, I don't think I got caught before this, why I take proteges rather than mentees or
Mm.
become a mentor to mentees. Um, I don't want there to be anything misconstrued, right? When esports teams are looking for people, they want the unicorn, and sometimes the unicorn will literally, like, per the name, will take basically a quarter of the salary they're actually worth. They'll literally move to a location that they can't even afford. Um, they'll interact with people they normally wouldn't interact with just to get the job and basically change their whole personality and persona to just match the vibe. And I think that's fucking atrocious. Um, that's just not it. And I would hate for anyone to have to do that.
Yeah, well, and that I was kind of touching upon like you saying you need to walk through the door. Like I've walked through the door and asked for a job, you know, and it's like, eh, hate to say an ego wall, but it's an ego wall. Like that's a lot of the issue. And like I walked into this organization or walked into this person's DMs after, and shortly after I did that, two organizations shut down. So I already kind of knew that it was kaput, you know, because they were just going to take the organization people, the people who were already established within an organization. Right, two
Yeah.
organizations shut down. Yeah. Because it was Beast Coast shut down and
I think they got acquired, didn't they? Technically.
Technically by M80, but most of that
Yeah.
staff didn't go over there because M80 was already established.
Yeah. I mean, there was also some stuff going on there we could talk later about, but yeah.
But yeah, and that's the thing though, is like you could literally walk through the door and ask for a job, but doesn't mean they're for one they're hiring, or for two they're not hiring you. Why would they?
Yeah.
When there's already like ample fruit for the picking, no matter what. You know, you walk through the apple orchard, you're not going to pick up the apple from the ground. You're going to pick the one that's in the tree.
And I guess that's where I draw the line. Like, if you've seen me so far, I've got a bunch of discords. I'm pretty much at max limit, and most of the discords I legitimately,
I'm
when it came to
interrupting.
colleges,
You are at
yeah.
max limit. You can't even join the SWM podcast
Oh my
Discord.
God, I keep on forgetting it.
I'm plugging it right now. There is a SWM Discord. I will be releasing it after the podcast, actually, probably before the podcast uploads tomorrow on YouTube. Woo!
True, that was a plug. I did that on purpose so we could plug it. True.
You won't find
Um,
Sam there, but you'll find me there.
yeah, exactly. No, I'll be in there tonight. Um, no, like I got to the point like when I was okay. Quick story aside with Sam yet again. When I was
Sides with
selling
Sam.
contracts, huh?
Sorry, I my brain is just like going at a million miles
You're
per
good.
hour. Sides with Sam. I'm put fucking dinner plate up on
Oh no. Side
there.
quests with Sam. So on this side quest, Sam in 2019 was not very happy with his esports org because they were not taking anything seriously in the sense of what I was providing. When I literally had, I'm not sure if I'll need to bleep these later or not. Sony, Adobe, Microsoft, and an unnamed, should not be named, definitely still NDA'd group. You know them, but um,
Mhm.
I literally had all of them ready to go, and my the one thing I really, really wanted was to get some money in my pocket to prove I was like a good partnership manager for this stuff. And oh boy, um, uh, like I literally could not get a hold of anyone, and they were refusing to talk to me. So I legitimately messaged the GM of FlyQuest at the time. And he said, "Oh yeah, meet me here." I'm like, "Cool." And it was in San Diego, and went to their thing, and basically had to show up. I had to just go. Like I was in their Discord, I was in their DMs, I was in their like Twitter, X now, just trying to get a meetup.
It's still
But
Twitter.
that's what it took. Yeah, it's still Twitter. But you see, I had to literally go through Twitter. I had to go
Yeah.
through Discord DMs. I had to go through their Discord. I literally typed in their chat, "Hey, do you guys have a partnership manager I could talk to, or one of the GMs?" They're like, "Yeah, no, talk to this person." I'm pretty sure they're working in esports right now, so I don't want to leak their name. But
Mhm.
anyone, any sleuths out there will put it together. Um, he was absolutely amazing. Sat down with me for a bit and was really interested in it. The only problem was we could never negotiate actual money because, um, yeah, it's a bad word. I forgot.
Ah, he said the bad word. That shit got bleeped on
So
a short.
true,
Ugh.
actually true.
Dirty money. That's the fuck. I need a soundboard at this point. I'm gonna say stupid shit and just record it for a soundboard. Oh shit. I'm having fun with this tonight. Fuck.
But yeah, that's side quest with Sam. But yeah, no, it's just it's really hard to make a fucking door or open a fucking window when the HP of whatever you're fighting, or whatever you're looking at, is so exorbitantly high, uh, that it will make your fucking fists bleed. So
Well, and that's where I was gonna reference back to that is like you can try to make a door or a window. You know, you could definitely give it the college try. You know, but
yeah,
you only have so much firepower within you, and like that's where the burnout starts coming from. Is like I could punch this wall for 100 HP, but I goes on cooldown. I lose mana. Like there, a million different like references you could make, but that's just true about real life. You lose stamina. You lose the drive. You lose after 100 emails to sponsors, like you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get tired of copying and pasting. You're gonna get tired of just like thinking it through, trying to find it, trying to find those contacts. You probably had to jump through like 6 or 7 different hoops just to get to one person that you needed to speak with. And that person still told you no.
Honestly, yeah.
And that's where I
Uh,
think a lot of burnout in esports comes from. Is just like you jump through so many hoops. Like it's exhausting.
and that's just the real fucking hard part of it all, right? Like, even though I say like boomer style of like, oh, you just have to go fight for it. Um, Sometimes they just don't fucking care. When I mean they, I mean the industry. Like, industry people just don't fucking care because if it doesn't meet their bottom line and they don't think that they can make their money back or they don't get the accolades or whatever they need, it's kind of cooked. Um,
Well, yeah, and most of the
I
time they're
wish I
spending an
had it.
outrageous amount of money. And like that's gonna be always the first thing on their minds too, is that they're not getting a return, and like then that starts becoming a problem, and then players start getting nervous, or even staff get nervous. Like if you flop on a video that you edited, what's gonna happen to you next? And I think that's also where burnout comes from, is like what happens next. Like, oh, this didn't work, oh, this worked, but then now what? Like, and that's where the small goals come from, is like, yeah, I can set small goals or short-term goals, but once I meet them, I have to make more goals, and that's another thing that you have to think about, and you have to start working towards, and you have to start doing again, and then it's a repeat of the last time, and it's like, when does that become a rut?
And that is probably the hardest question you have to answer for yourself because again, that's where I kind of stopped in esports is when I hit that rut where it was a different rut where it just was like we were at the point we were, the Star Wars meme where we were this close to greatness.
Yeah.
Um, I saw people spinning their wheels when the reality was, and this is why I keep my people that I like close and don't really have a wide group of people I like to work with explicitly because there are going to be people who are spoilers or people who are burnt out or people who just don't want to reach out because if we needed money, like in the organization that I was with, I was opening the door and yet we couldn't secure the bag, right? So, and I, not necessarily to anyone's dismay or anything else, like people tried, but I felt like at the end of the day, there wasn't the same effort being put forward because they had gotten burned so many times. Like, what could Sam bring to the table that we haven't already done? While here, me, bright eye and bushy tail in a new position in the organization, here I'm bringing a whole bunch of shit. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm raring to go, and they're already burnt out. That's why I keep like my circle very tight and very like integral to one another. And maybe it's a little manipulative, but like the people who I'm with are supporting entities to things that I really need and what they really need back.
Even
So
then, like that's not even that manipulative. Like I will kind of like jump in and fight you on that, because like I do the same thing. Like, not even the same thing. Like it's just more of like you pick and choose who you get to be around. Because you can ignore people. Like genuinely, like granted, at my job, there's a few people that I would like to ignore, but I can't. But I still interact with them. I still am able to like be friendly. But at the end of the day, I don't have to go out and have a beer with them. I don't have to go and do anything with them. They're still people that I interact with, but in the end, you choose who you are around constantly. You chose me. And that's the thing, is like you saw potential, you also saw help towards what you were already working for your goals, but at the same time, it can always go deeper. It can always become a different entity than what you initially started it out as. I mean, initially you were
Oh,
trying to recruit a team and me as a manager.
very true.
Things can change very, very quickly and become a little bit deeper and more intricate than where you initially set that goal. And that's the thing with like short term goals is like, okay, I picked up a team. Now I have to figure out everything else.
Yeah, that and that's where like it came into where I didn't really want to manage a team, and the way I was looking at the organization as a whole, the one we were looking one we were kind of working with, I was trying to decentralize as much um, weight as possible on each individual person that could carry said weight. So as the kind of the head of esports for that organization, I needed decentralized general managers who could run an FPS scene. So, or managers that ran other managers to make sure things were running because realistically, we had so many moving components and we were using our pillars correctly at the time and making really good things happen at the time that it made sense to decentralize the stress. The only problem is that requires a lot of people and a lot of like trust because who's to say like someone doesn't like George on one part of the world? Like it does, a MOBA coach doesn't like George or an FPS coach who doesn't like George because he's in MOBAs and we're paying attention to MOBAs more. So the FPS guy is going to get pissed. Like it happens. I get it. It's beyond frustrating to me where it's just like uh I just want things to work. That's it. Like I'm just tired of. I just want things to work. People
Just-
not to get all butthurt about shit.
yeah, well, and that's the thing is like people. I mean, I'm not speaking about everybody, but people are fragile. Like people's emotions are fragile. Like, and even the smallest thing can set others off, and that's where it becomes an issue. Is like sometimes, and I do this when I walk through the door at my restaurant. Like, I put almost everything that's happening outside of work outside. Like, that's where it kind of belongs, in my opinion. And like, I think you and I don't remember if it was you and I who talked about this, but like, I don't think it was, but I don't. You correct me if I'm wrong, but if you had a problem with me, we would talk about it. And that's where like
We did
people
have
hide.
problems.
We did.
We
Yeah,
did
you're
have
right. We did
problems,
have problems.
and we did talk. But the
And-
thing was,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, it was even just gonna add on. It was like we did have problems, but we did talk, and like even then, like we might disagree, we might completely disagree, but it's takes a certain type of person to be able to take a step back, say we'll never agree on this. Let's find a common ground. You know?
But that okay. I think that's where the problem is. Sometimes people want this weird um controlling of the baby, I guess. Like it's not. I'm just using random fucking like analogies, but like,
Damn, you
right,
pulled that one out of nowhere.
well, it's okay. Like I call every friendship I have or romantic relationship I have, I call everything a relationship because it moves, it sways. It's much like the ocean where sometimes I'm really close to people and sometimes they're really far away, and sometimes I'll never see them again, or sometimes they're with me every single fucking day. I I see an issue where these connections, people get way too involved or they feel way too close to things or they don't quite understand where the other person is coming from, so they create rather than asking what is going on or asking what they need or asking what the other person needs, they feel it's like those I'm gonna be a boomer, like those old books that you just write in like fill in the blank funny jokes like ad libs.
Mad Libs, yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
yeah, so people fill in the blanks rather than asking. So if you, for instance, like I like being very clear, right? I could have been like, "Hey, I'm going to be late today. Sorry." But I like to make it personal because I like to let you know about a part of my life
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, "Hey, it's my sister's birthday. I may be a little bit late."
I would say happy
And what's
birthday,
really
Sam's
cool,
sister.
yeah, shout out
Quick
to Annie.
shout out. Happy birthday. What a huge freaking thing. I love birthdays. I don't know. I love other people's birthdays. My birthday, I literally don't celebrate it.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten to the point. I'm going to be turning 30 this year. I am turning over a new leaf. No bullshit. So it's kind of it's like it's a new thing for me this year, just not dealing with bullshit. Um, but I like to introduce my part of my life to people so they understand that I'm an open book. If you ask me anything, I may have some things I have to dance around, but I'll be as clear. Sometimes I'm not very clear, but I'll be as clear as I can about certain subjects. So if you ask me my time at Triumph, I'll be very clear. It was not the best. Was it the worst? It was by far not the worst organization. Um, but it wasn't great. We had our problems, right? I like the transparency, so there isn't a question as to where and how and why I'm thinking certain things. And I've been living that way, fortunately, unfortunately, since November, where I've been very, very fucking clear with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people take advantage of it, sometimes people don't. And I think it really has helped delineate and like provide a lot of clarity to the people around me of where I'm at. And for the people who haven't respected those boundaries, well, and then they just kind of like act a certain way or get mad and do the exact thing that they blame me or they get mad at me for doing, they do it back
But how does that
after.
affect you in the long run? That's the thing is like you can be
That's
blunt
about it.
about stuff, but the issue about being blunt and like this is from coming from somebody who's really been blunt a large majority of his life. It affects relationships. Like even like people who are just colleagues, like telling them bluntly that they're either doing something wrong or you're like how you're feeling, like it will, you mentioned it right away, like people will act differently around you, and how does that affect your mental, because I know it affects mine a lot because not gonna lie, sometimes when I'm blunt, I'm an asshole. I will fully admit I'm an asshole. I will say some not fucked up stuff, but I will literally like call people out for being stupid. Like I call people morons all the fucking time, you know? Right to their face
Well,
too.
I remember when we got our final call with um, our project, that final call where I had it on speaker, and the guy that we were working with literally said, "I just want to gamble," and I remember something after where we had interactions. I think it was you, myself, and maybe Carson, maybe Clay was there. I don't remember. And you just said it was fucking stupid, like, or
Yeah.
something along those lines. And you were just so blunt about it because it changed everything. We were 2 weeks out from when we were supposed to do our final proposal, and it fucked everything up. But I appreciated the bluntness because at least now I know where we are all at. Because,
I thought it was bullshit. No, I straight up thought it was bullshit. I wasn't gonna deny it because I knew we were
yeah,
all thinking in a similar fashion. Somebody just had to say it.
yeah. And I don't know. That's the difference between me. My type of leadership is okay, like I know there's some bullshit, but if I ruminate on this, and it's probably a little bit of like PTSD, where, okay, I'm in the middle of the shit. Like, I'm in the middle of a fucking tornado. It's kind of calm right now, but give it another 1 to 5 to 10 minutes, and we're going to get hit by the second wave from that wall, right? What can I do and prepare so I don't fucking die or this project doesn't fucking die? And I provided clarity in our private chats about what I tried to do in the background, and it didn't work. And mind you, had I been very clear about what I was doing, maybe you guys could have helped. At the same time, I also made it clear what I think people would have done, and I think you were reasonable in saying like, yes, I should have made it clearer, but at the same time, you understood where I was coming from, right?
Well, even then, like I
So
knew you weren't trying to bullshit us in the long run, because like I knew it wasn't. It was all of us working on the similar goals. You know, like we all had our own
yeah.
goals within the project, but at the same time, like we all knew what had to be done. So I wasn't even really like I wasn't saying you were being not transparent, but at the same time, like
Oh, I wasn't. That's the
we
answer. Let's be real.
we all learned this information at the same time too. We all got
Yeah.
fucked over in the same time. And yeah, I'm gonna call fucking this is stupid when it's fucking stupid, you know? I'm not gonna just sit there and bash my head against the wall when it's not necessary anymore because I mean, granted, I lost my fuel like probably couple days, maybe a week before that last
Yeah.
like call, but it was because I knew that there was something up. Like I could already smell it from a mile away. Granted, I had other
And
issues going on with like the project itself, and like
yeah.
you and I talked about this before, but it's just I I needed some sort of sense of direction, and when the paths all of a sudden became six different choices to make, that's when I was just like, no, it's not worth it
Yeah.
anymore.
A- And I'm glad because much like my final run in esports with Triumph, shout out to Hunts or whatever their current name is in the esports scene if they're still in there. Um, they were very blunt with me, being like, "Hey, if you're interested, to come back." And I really appreciated that from him. He's my little protege too. Like, homie did his shit. He got his money up. Like he didn't get his money up. He got his money up, and I'm really proud of him wherever he's at. And like, it's just that's all I think anyone really wants or needs is just feeling like they're not getting kind of or not getting kind of getting fucked over. That is probably the worst fucking feeling is that of just not knowing and not having the clarity and then proceeding to still have to continue down the path because if you don't, then what happens?
Yeah. Well, and even like
So,
adding on to the overall burnout topic too is like when stuff like that happens, when you can feel like there's something wrong coming, like you start to think, all right, what's next? What do I freaking do? Because this was, I mean, this project was probably going to be a life changer for all of us. You know, it would have been a life changer. We
would have been
all would have
massive.
gotten where we would have been. We all would have done what we wanted to do. Like, literally, we were giving us each individual jobs that we wanted within the scene, you know? And to have it start smelling like bullshit a week before, you lose all motivation. Like it got sucked out. I not even like days before that last meeting, like not days, but that week that I started like realizing it. I mean, I was working my ass off. You know that I was. I was up until 3
Yeah.
a.m., 4 a.m. just doing shit because I was like, this is it. But then
I,
that week that I started smelling the bullshit, I was like, nope, I'm done.
and this is going to sound crazy, and this is something I've learned within my own time in gaming or experienced my own time in esports. I much rather have had it come from inside the house than outside the house. I would have rather have had it come from one of us superseding another person, securing a job with Ernie. Oh God, like that, like that.
Oh no.
But
Damn.
yeah, but
He was doing so well.
secure a job through him, and go from there, right? Like that would have been great. Like that would have been like I would have been happy for them, regardless of them fucking me over. Because like I have I had someone that I went through coaching with and managing with. Like I consider him like a brother, but much like a brother, like he fucked me over out of a lot of shit, and I fucked him over out of a lot of shit. So I would have liked to have seen it been carried on in a meaningful way. But the fact that it came outside the house and it got burnt down because of that, it wasn't because of that person, but because of the actions that were changed at the time. I can't hate the person we were working with, but I can sure get a little bit mad about the change ups. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, I mean, I'll reference back to when I said it. One path became six within an instant. You know?
And that was only because we were told and like it went from first original call, that looks good, that sounds good, let's do it from him, the green light. And then that second call, well, we need something this, and this. Okay, we do the six paths. And then that final call is the one that really personally, because I think the we're kind of mixing up two and three. That second call is where we had to split into six different groups
Mm-hmm.
because of what he asked us to do. That third and last call was a nail in the coffin where it's like, well, we just want gambling.
And that's just
Okay.
not. There's no space for that. And that was where like the main issue came from. Is like the space for that kind of it closed forever ago. It closed back in like 2016, 2017 when a whole bunch of shit went down, you know?
Yeah.
And
And
that's where the project kind of like teetered off the edges cuz it's like, well, now we can't do anything because there's no space for it, you know? Like nobody's doing it anymore because nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole. There was situations with it, and there's still situations to this day with gambling in esports. Dota 2 North America is riddled with match fixing and just overall blatant disrespect of rulings.
oh, 100%. I
And
mean,
like
you've
you
got
can't
so many.
stop it. You can't stop it.
Yeah, and you've got too many betting websites that are reputable too. Like you've got too many that are reputable that have so much strength and strong arming possibilities within the scenes that it makes more sense to just for these not orgs, but the companies of these games, the developers, to ignore it rather than actually face it head on. Unless you have something like Daddy Tencent come in and sue an underdog. I'm sorry, underdog. If you want to sponsor us, fantastic. But I don't think I'd want to take it personally. But if they wanted to sue underdog for using Riot's name or Riot's trademarks of League of Legends or Valorant, because you can gamble on those, I'm pretty sure Tencent would have an open and closed case. You can't use trademarks. You can't use material like that. You just can't without permission. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like that's where a lot of the like and I'm going to keep touching on this topic because it's kind of like mentally stuck in my brain right now because I'm trying to
yeah,
work through problems of my own on
yeah,
stream.
talk it out.
But burnout is just so difficult to push past because the idea for me at least is like whenever I get burned out, I'm always looking out for the next thing. And I think that's where my problem comes from. I need to take a like and I laugh at this because I've retired 4 fucking times. I need a break. But that break
Yeah,
never gets to come. Like it never genuinely happens because I'm constantly working in my head, like, what's the next thing? I literally was breaking from esports until I decided that this podcast was going to be a good idea. You know? Like, I was trying to take a break. I was taking a backseat. I went to a consultancy because I wanted to take in clients as I wanted or take in, like, jobs as I wanted. And even
yeah.
then, in this position, I burned myself out again. Like I genuinely feel it. Like the past 2 weeks, I haven't done shit. I've literally just been going to work, coming home, sleeping, eating, whatever it takes to just live minimally. And like, yeah, that break is good, but at the same time, living your day to day life is also draining. Like going to the same job, seeing the same people, like it can be mentally draining. Granted, you have to do it for a living, but at the same time, what do you do to make it so that you're not consistently burnt out? Especially like after that first time, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I ever got burnt out, I don't think it's ever gone away. You know?
I don't think it ever really does. Um,
Is it a
yeah,
sense of
I
failure? Is that like and I like that's maybe not in my mental, but is it a sense of failure that could be a problem?
I think it's the sense of failure mixed with if I stop now, will I be able to go back?
What do you mean by that? A little bit elaborate for a caveman like me.
So for me, right, here's like this is where I was at when Clarity lost to what would become Triumph. I made the decision to leave esports and only keep friends in the gaming space, um, for my own sanity rather than trying to find an angle back into the scene. Because at that point in time, I thought I was just completely done. Like I had made peace with what was going on. There, when I lost out with Doot Doot and we had our controversies, I wanted to go back, but I kind of got backseated. I got thrown into purgatory,
Hmm.
and I didn't retire, but I got put in the fucking timeout chair. But I came back. I was hungry for it, so I went back and got it. I think there's some people who, once they've reached a peak or they lose, right, much like Clarity, they have this resentment of, oh, I could do it again. Oh, it just needed point 0.1, or we need to stop them point 0.1 meters less. We can do that. And cool, but there's a lot of resentment within that. There's no real closure with that feeling. And I think that's why people feel that burnout, or they don't, or like I think there's two different types of burnout. There's the one where you gave it your all and that's it and you're just tired.
Hmm.
And then there's the resentment burnout where it's like I gave it my all and look what it did. It didn't give me anything back. I barely got back. You know, I put in 10 life coins and I only got 9.5 back. I am short a half a coin. I deserve my half a coin back. That's that resentment, and that's where when I stopped with Clarity right before joining Triumph, like I took 3 months. I did not talk to anyone. 4 months. I didn't talk to anyone really, in the gaming scene except for the occasional hi bye, making amends for a couple of different things. I just focused on yoga and touching grass, and I found so much peace in that, and there was nothing I really felt like I could personally do to get back into the esports scene that was meaningful until Hunts gave me the opportunity to do so. So I made my peace. I think that's the difference, making the peace rather than anything else.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, I think that's part of it for you is
yeah.
finding that peace, if there is any,
Yeah.
right? I
I
think you
mean,
still got a lot of fucking potential.
yeah. I feel like, and I'm gonna say this very loosely just because like I don't feel it, but I do kind of understand it. I think there's been a couple times where I've peaked, you know, and then kind of fall into the wayside. And that's where it's like, where do you go from there? Once you've reached that like summit and then you look up and you didn't actually reach the summit, instead you reached like the smaller mountain, you know? And then you tumble your ass down that smaller mountain to get up to the next one. Like where does the exhaustion come from? You know, like I get it, it's exhausting to go up a mountain, but at the same time it's like where do you get that motivation again to, oh shit, I climbed the wrong mountain, let's go to the next one, you know? And I don't know where that
Well,
mentality comes from for me, cuz like I've done it twice now, you know? Like two times I can genuinely
yeah.
say where I've like actually peaked in esports, or at least where I want to be, and then I've tumbled my ass down the mountain to reach the next one. And that's where it's like I may not have come to peace with that myself. Like I think that's probably where a lot of the mentality comes from on my end, where I keep getting burnt out. But at the same time, like you know my work ethic, you know I will sit here and grind it out until it's done. And like
Yeah.
that might be my ultimate downfall too. But at the same time, why wouldn't somebody do that? If they think they genuinely have a shot, if they genuinely have a chance, or if like there's a problem that can be solved, why wouldn't you 100% go into the pain?
Fear of failure. I think that's the biggest thing,
Oof.
right? Because then that is also an aspect of burning out, right? That's fucking spooky, man. Like
I mean, even then,
that.
like, can you blame yourself for failure of others?
No. Of course not.
Because, like, I mean, our project, I'll relate to that, is like, I mean, we all failed on that project. We all did, genuinely. Like, we all had our own headspace that we were in. We all had, like,
Yeah.
our goals. We all had individualistic goals and not working together as a team. And, like, that was probably a lot of our downfall in that. But at the same time, how much accountability can you realistically take if a team fails, you know?
Yeah. I I I don't think there is. I think the way, I mean, if we're talking about our project, I accept, and I hold myself accountable for not holding our potential investor to their word when we originally worked on said project of what we were preparing for that investor, right? They kept on moving the finish line or the goalposts to fit what they wanted. And mind you, he has his own motivations too, and that's not something to shit on him for, right? That he's got investors he's got to talk to and people he's got to talk to ensure that things will go their way. So like I needed to hold his feet to the fire and being like, okay, like I need to know what your investors actually want. Because although you like what we're doing, that doesn't necessarily mean like your people like what we're doing. And like your investors are people that hold the fucking purse. So
Mhm.
let's be good with this. Let's not fuck this up. And let's be honest, I dropped the ball there, and I've now made it abundantly clear, like since then, and I think I've mentioned it, is just brutal honesty of like, okay, like here it is. Like this is what I have. This is what we have. This is what we have prepared for. If this isn't gonna match what you want, okay, like it's gonna suck. We may have to actually cancel this project, but that's something we as a team need to make this decision towards.
Well,
You
and I
know?
would have preferred, like, and here's the other thing is, like, we went through what, November, December, and January, or most of
Yeah,
January. Why
yeah.
couldn't we have known in December?
That that is well, I would say like early January is when we kind of knew
Mm.
question mark, but I I think it was pretty clear when we didn't get the seat for the proposal for the conference in the 3 days, 4 days before Christmas that it was pretty much down the shitter. But when they extended it for a bunch of people to redo it, I thought it was more or less kind of a give us more so we can get more out of this. And I just wasn't prepared to have to move the goalposts yet again.
Mm.
And I thought everyone kind of was in that same mentality of, yeah, I can't handle another goalpost being moved or an objective being changed because someone doesn't like someone wants to make an extra dollar. Someone wants to work us an extra 100 hours just to make another dollar
Mm.
because they're not paying us to do it at that point, right? All they're doing is then selling that idea back to some more investors who then will pay them, who then eventually will give us 10 cents maybe at the end,
Yeah.
right? The equivalent amount, whatever equivalent amount it would be. So it's all calculated. That's all it was, and I just wasn't ready to go into those calculations yet again.
Well,
That was my problem.
yeah. Well, and even like I know you had other stuff going on in the background during that time too. I'm not gonna bring it up or anything like that. But more my saying is like when that failed or when the situation started arising, how did you start feeling? Like how was your burnout overall from like just working on stuff overall? Like you probably haven't bounced back 100% yet, but like how did you bounce back?
So let me start on the positive. Let me start a little bit on the positive. I'll jump back and forth. I had really good people around me.
You had me bothering
Like
you almost
regardless.
every fucking day.
Yeah, I mean, I literally got a text from you. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" And I had to recheck. And that is amazing. Like I shout out to Cosmic Love again. Like he's my homie. Like I've known him for 11 years. Like this man fought tooth and nail to keep me above fucking water because I was drowning. Like my family was there, like they knew I was fucking treading water. Um, and I think just the idea, like the negative part about this was all the support systems I thought I had in place that were really, really good people, um, who had a good head on their shoulders seemed to just not understand and then not accomplish much more than say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then just like not put in the work of actually doing the thing, which is like I think I mentioned this before, where it's like I mentioned it was my sister's birthday today to you earlier. That's a little piece of information, so you know, like I'm kind of in a interesting mood where I'm realizing I'm turning 30. Uh, Here's my baby sister I've grown up with for my entire life. Like a she is a grown woman. She is going to get married. She has amazing friends, and her significant other is amazing too. Um, but like I saw my other friends just kind of not want to put in the time and effort to really go they or put together the puzzle pieces of going like, oh, well, you aren't playing League right now, and that person's on. Are you guys not good?
Mhm.
You did that really fucking well with our project. I think you can kind of put two and two together, where it was like, oh, you have not talked about this in a while, or to this person in a while. Everything good? And
Oh, well, even like after the project, like that's kind. I think that's where you're kind of touching is like I've been like
yeah,
I mean I've always said I'm kind of the bridge between people. Like I introduce
yeah,
other people to people who like I think that they would connect well, and like I've always been good about that. But at the same time, like I believe in connecting with individuals that have, I mean, been around. You know, like one of my goals for this year was to reach out to old Dota 2 friends because they've always really been around. Like shout out Chompix Gaming. Like that dude, he literally saved South American Dota 2. And I was in that scene and I constantly was in contact with Chompix, you know, and like he's a genuinely good dude. And even recently, I've reached out to him like, hey, glad to see you're still around, like happy to see the South America is like thriving right now. And and that's what I firmly believe in is like keeping those relationships, even if they're not like significant, like they're not like every day in your life, not every day like around. There's still people that have interacted with you in your lifetime. And whether that
yeah.
be, if that's positive, why not reach out? If it's negative, like you have that option not to reach back out.
And I guess that is the direction, right? Like that is how I have been able to like get back to where I'm at when I was going through my really tough patch right before Triumph. Like I had really good support systems at the time, and it took a long time. It took me 7 months, and I'll be clear on this. Like, it's probably not the best. It's probably really bad to say this, but like, I ghosted my ex at the time because there was just really hard questions I couldn't answer for her, and like, it got really bad to the point where neither of us could really ask a question or give an answer without a big fucking argument back and forth.
Mhm.
So I had to really take some time. I waited that amount of time to really be where I needed to be. So that time and space, those resources, those people, they were amazing. Some of them are still there, some of them are gone, but hell, like that, you have to go through hell
Mhm.
sometimes, like really understand like where your resources are, where the real ones are at. Because you don't know, like you really don't know until shit hits
I
the
mean, I
fan.
don't think you expected me to message you almost every day through the month of January, making sure you were good. Like, I don't think you expected that at all.
No. And it's honestly really cool because like the the difficulties and the intricacies of life really bring like I realize how much work that is, so I really respected that and took the time to respond to you rather than I'll even use this example because it's real life bullshit that I'm dealing with now. If I'm asking to join a game, I'm not necessarily going, especially after um things were particularly said, and then like people feel a different way about you. Um, if you have feelings for someone, it kind of it fucks up things later when things don't work out. Um, Mind you, this person and I would go back and forth, and we'd have really good comms. And after a while, like if they were playing and I was playing, they'd ask me to join. But now it's very much a one way. That's not healthy. If you just say, "Hey, what's up?" and I say, "Hey, not much," but I don't ask what's going on with you, it's kind of like not a cool thing, especially if it's continued, right? Like I'm one who likes to talk to people. I like to yap. Um, but I will ask questions. Like I'll ask how your wife's doing. Like she's amazing. She made the art here. Shout out. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
She redid it not too long ago. I have to get it from her, but she redid the lettering so that it's not orange, it's white instead, so it's a little bit more poppy.
Ooh,
So, and also
nice.
we will have thumbnails too for the YouTube videos.
Ooh,
She just started
very nice.
she said that she would start working on them, and she just told me to kind of give her the topic
Yeah.
of the stream, and she'll start like making it, and like I'm gonna have to upload the video on Monday because I want it out next day as much as possible. But I can always edit thumbnails. Like I can always put on a new
Yeah.
thumbnail whenever. So I was like, honestly, make it whenever you can. I'll upload it whenever it's ready. You know, like tell me when it's ready and like we'll do it. But she's I mean, an amazing artist. Like she has done really good things. And like she actually she helped with the inspiration for a lot of the logo work that I did. Like a lot of also I was scrolling back on our message by the way. We started working on that shit in October.
Yeah. I remember.
Like that's crazy. That I didn't even think it was that long ago. Jesus.
And what's cool update on this? My sister, who is also an artist, she will be almost done with our PNGs when we
Ooh.
are ready to go.
Ooh, I need one
So
for your cam.
it's yeah, it's I'm hoping it will be kind of cute.
That's
But
gonna
I
be
got you
fucking
one
cool.
too. It's a late birthday present, but it's gonna look good. I'm hoping it will like it'll really mesh well.
What's
So
funny is I literally looked at my calendar the other day because I was like, Sam's birthday's coming up here. I know it. I put it in my
hell no,
calendar.
we ain't doing shit, dude.
I put it up here. It's even gonna be on. Oh, it's gonna be on a Saturday, not Sunday. I thought it was gonna be on a Sunday. I thought we were gonna have a
Get
birthday
fucked.
stream next year. Next
Ah,
year, we'll have a birthday stream
next
next
year.
year. We missed
I got a
mine.
good
Mine was
feeling
on a
though.
Sunday.
Shit. Yeah, it was on a Sunday.
I was in Charlotte, dude.
That's true.
Yeah, your
You're
birthday's on a
camp.
Sunday next year. I'm excited. We're gonna do a birthday stream. We're going full out. I don't even know what I'm gonna do,
Well,
but I'm gonna do some stupid ass shit for you.
I'm hoping if things go the way we're hoping for, especially with all the platforms and everything, we'll have a little house, like not a little house, but we'll have like a little content house, and maybe we'll be able to take a weekend there. So
Yeah, that would be
at least
sick.
that's at least what Boss Lady wants. So shout out to Boss Lady. She knows who she is. She's awesome.
Honestly,
That's
haven't
kind of
met Boss
like
Lady yet,
weird.
but I fucking
I
love
need
Boss
to. I
Lady.
keep on
I
forgetting
fucking
her
love Boss Lady. She's fucking cool.
name.
I don't even know who the fuck she is, but let's go. Shout out Boss Lady.
I gotta talk to her. Yeah, we'll leave
she's
her
gonna
name later.
she's gonna have a riot meeting me. I don't even know. I'm honestly bringing in my full personality to it. I don't even care.
And I do like. Okay, so let me give a positive of how to beat burnout.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Always ready for
Putting the
words of
right,
advice.
yeah, putting the right people around you. And I already kind of put that out there, but here's the other thing. They got to be growing and wanting to do good things too. So, yeah, they can have some bad influences. Yeah, maybe they drink a little too much. Yeah, maybe they smoke a little too much. But here's the thing, as long as they're not a problem, with capital P problem, you know what, man? I'm not fucking perfect. I wouldn't want anyone else to like I don't put that onto other people because I wouldn't want it onto myself. So, like Boss Lady is fucking amazing. Like I'm really excited. Like that this is the type of shit like this is the cathartic shit that we really are going for here, and that's why like yeah, we smoke a little bit. Like that's like the essence of what this like podcast group is, and I'll provide a little bit of resources as to kind of the group um, that we're going to be working with. It's all
Okay.
these bands and artists local to San Diego. If everything goes well, we'll be working Bayfest and doing behind the scenes stuff. If
Hmm.
we get some time and the ability to do so, we'll be doing some work out at IGA in San Diego and right before my birthday. So maybe we'll chill
Yeah.
and do stuff there. I'm hoping we'll be able to bring George out and do all that shit.
Honestly, I'm
We already
vlogging
got him
it.
some
I'm
tickets.
fucking vlogging it,
Yeah,
putting it up on somehow we manage. I will.
but I've already put out some connections for at least a stopover for a Airbnb for stuff. I just got to figure out the flights and shit, and
Well,
I'm hoping that we'll be able to get it done.
you
So
also mentioned like you wanted to travel to yourself and like I mean meet your online friends. Like I know you've met a lot of them already, but like we already talked about it a little bit and like yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you got my hopes up, Sam. You got my fucking hopes up.
I'm trying. I'm
But
transparent. I'm trying. I'm trying.
no, no, yeah, I know how crazy it is. Are you kidding me? I literally, when you first mentioned San Diego, I was like, all right, let me look at flights, and I cried a little bit. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. But like, I completely understand. Hell, meet me halfway. I don't even give a shit at this point. But that's what I'm saying is like, just fucking like meeting individuals and like being able to do it is just cool. I don't even know where my train of thought really was. It just fucking got derailed so hard.
No, you're good, brother. I just I think this is where that counter burnout is you provide yourself a little bit of hope, right? There are
Mhm.
things that you can do that just spark, and those small little sparks can really push you to do amazing things. And that's really hard to find. Like honestly, it really is hard to find. That's why I really don't define my like I think the important thing is you don't define your life by things that can immediately change, like friends or um, even food. Like I I will go to
Oh,
I know I'm gonna get canceled. I go to Starbucks for my chocolate covered strawberry frappuccino,
dude,
and
no, you
sometimes when
said
they
that to
don't
me. That
fill
shit
it up,
sounds fire. No, you can't be canceled for that shit. It sounds good.
dude, it is diabetes in a bottle. And the problem is like sometimes it doesn't hit the same
Hmm.
because all the baristas are amazing, but sometimes they just some baristas really I don't know what it is. They do some like I'm gonna do the meme. If they don't have a pierced no, like if they don't have a pierced nose ring, like those like bull rings or like five other piercings and a tattoo, that drink is gonna be dog shit.
My best
So
front of
like,
house person in the restaurant has fucking nose ring.
I
Let's just get it
I'm
out
just
there.
saying
She's the best.
exactly. If you're in the food industry and you don't have piercings and like obnoxious amount of tattoos, I don't think my food's gonna be that great. It's gonna be okay. It's just not gonna be anything I write home about.
There's a reason they
So,
hide us in the back kitchen. There's a reason.
but yeah,
uh,
no, like that to me, like the thing is I don't want to rely on food because if it's bad and I'm already feeling bad or not bad, if it's not gonna cheer me up completely, yeah, it's not gonna get it's like I'm trying to remember the game. Like you could literally take a potion and it's like a 50-50 chance of whether or not it hits. Or what was it? I think it's like a 48-48 and then there's a 2% chance that it fucking kills you. Where it's like 48% chance it works, a 48% chance that it doesn't work, and the 2% chance that it fucking kills you, or something like
that's
that.
insane for a game mechanic. What the fuck?
I remember seeing, I'm trying to remember what game it was. I remember seeing it somewhere. I'll have to look it up.
That's absolutely
To take
insane,
a
and I
potion.
want to play that game. I
I'm
like
gonna
my
look it up
odds.
now. I gotta find it.
I
But
like my fucking
that's
odds.
I love that shit because it's just like it. I just don't want to do that to myself, right? Like I don't want that 2% chance of getting a really shitty frappuccino as I'm exiting the parking lot, and then it just continuing to ruin my day.
You know,
So
I
I'm
mean,
just finding like this is how to get me out of the rut. Like I love this shit. Like I want more people to do this shit.
yeah.
So
Well, so I got three things that popped into the brain here.
yeah,
One, relating to your like food thing. Food changes too. People change recipes for no fucking reason. There's a Chinese restaurant in my hometown that I used to love their General Tso's chicken. Loved it. I ordered it every single time we went out. Every single time, like I just had a chance to have some Chinese food. Like that was what I ordered. And then they fucking changed the recipe on me. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't eaten there since. I can't do it. I don't know what it is. It completely just threw me off the last time I had it. I was like, this isn't the same. I don't want it anymore. My day is officially ruined. You know? And plus, I
That
spent $60 on that fucking Chinese food, dude. That shit's expensive.
oh that yeah, see that's also why I don't like relying on food to get my mood back up because like if I spend a bunch of money and it doesn't fucking turn out good, ugh. Like the minimum is good. Not even
Yeah.
like decent, but good.
If
I
I can fork it down, it's fine.
yeah, but I need to get my I need food's my mood stabilizer.
No, I get that one.
But I don't
You
want it to
kidding
be
me?
that way.
I ate 2 pizzas today. Like I golfed out today. I don't know what was going on with me. I just kept eating and eating. My wife, oh, bless her. Fucking bless this woman. Oh my god. She made you ever been to Longhorn before? I don't know if they have that in San Diego.
Yeah, Longhorn Steakhouse?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You ever had their appetizer, the Wild West shrimp?
No, I don't think I
No.
have. Is it
She
good?
fucking replicated it. It is amazing. Like we get it every
Oh.
time we go there. It's kind of like our date night thing to go to Longhorn because she loves steak. She will swear by steak. Like she will get a renegade sirloin 8 ounces every time we go with loaded mashed potatoes and the Brussels sprouts, the crispy Brussels sprouts that they got. That's like her meal every time we go out. And then we get an appetizer of Wild West shrimp. She made those tonight, and like they tasted
Ooh.
exactly like the fucking thing. She made Cajun chicken, which was absolutely incredible. And then I helped with the mashed potatoes. And then I had 2 pizzas today. I ate a whole thing of Gushers. I've had like 4 beers. It was definitely a snow day for me today. Being older and having a snow day is dead ass a lot more fun. My second thought, and I'm relating it to your Starbucks shit, because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, and this might be a bad thing to admit for me on stream, but for the past, I think, 2 years straight, every single morning for the past 2 years, I have gotten a Dunkin' Donuts coffee. First of all, that's fucked up of me to do. That's way too much coffee. But
Eh.
I, the issue is that like one, I order from 2 different Dunkin' Donuts. So there's one over in the town just over next to me, and then there's one in my town, but it's on my way to work, basically.
Mhm.
And you can just tell the difference between the two of them because like one of them I order online, so like I go in and pick it up and stuff like that, and then it's just like a chance that it's a good coffee or a bad coffee. And my wife started relating her days to how bad her coffee is.
Oh no.
She's like, it's a
That's
bad
my
coffee. It's
fear.
gonna be a bad day.
I fear that so much.
I've definitely had my fair share of bad coffees that I've just like sucked down just for the hell of it, just because it was coffee. uh, no, but that's the thing is like going to the barista thing is like just it doesn't it matters on who's making it genuinely because like sometimes they'll press like the oh god, going back to my made regular comment, they'll press like the regular button and it's like dumps a little bit. They don't realize that it's not enough, and then it's just like, let me pour the coffee in, put that on the shelf, and we're done. And I just take a sip of it, like this tastes like shit, but I'm late for work already, so I gotta go. uh, and then the third thing I was gonna say is I gotta use the bathroom and grab another drink.
Oh yeah. No
So
worries.
Sam side quest activate.
Oh, side quest activated. All right. What side quest are we doing today? Let's talk about I want to know, like, I personally, if anyone's out there listening, same side quest, what is the one game that you wish had stayed up, competitive or not, regardless of them shutting down the server? I've had, I'll give you a second. One, two, all right. I had a player, um, Grego. like from C9 back in old Overwatch days, he used to love Spillgate and talk about Spillgate being like the game. I think Spillgate 2 is coming out or something like that. Um, but yeah, like I talk about Dirty Bomb, the game, because that's mine. I would probably not want to see it come back because it was a hero shooter with a pay to win mechanic, with carding, um, like specialty cards that can get you specific guns and utility and some random bullshit. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want Overwatch back, like OG Overwatch. I don't know. I don't know personally for me. I mean, a lot of people probably like Dota 1 and Dota 2 or like some patch on Dota, some patch on League. Trying to think of what else is out there that was massive.
Oh
Um,
shit, I'm back.
I was asking on Sam's side quest,
Ooh.
what game would you want to come back in an original iteration or one of its iterations, or a game that is shut down to come back
Ooh,
that you'd want to play?
interesting. Oh boy. Here's the so I mean a little bit of thing about me is I've only played I don't think I've played anything that's been like shut down per se or like watched anything. Maybe StarCraft. I did start getting into StarCraft a little bit during my Dota days, but it was mostly because a lot of the people were interested in Han. And Han shut down, and a lot of those people either moved to Dota 2 or StarCraft. But even then, like, I started when the game industry was kind of booming, so like Dota 2 is still around, Counter Strike's still around, Valorant was new, Apex was new, Fortnite was new. I hate Fortnite. Fucking, Fortnite, I give it crap, but it made some kids multimillionaires, and I can't really like fight that because like the kids probably deserved it.
Yeah.
But I think after that Fortnite era, it kind of turned the esports industry sour because like everybody was like, well, anybody can do it really now. I don't know what game. StarCraft, I think it has to be my final answer, just because like I never played games that never shut down. I'm sure yours is gonna be Dirty Bomb.
Okay, stop. I never listen. I would not want that Chinese chicken company of a game to come back because it did have a card system, to be honest with you,
Oh, did it
that
really?
didn't. Yeah, there were technically 6 levels of cards, but 1, 2, and 3 were the important ones, and the third one basically was like the highest tier that you could get, gun combination wise, along with abilities.
Wait, did
Um,
you ever play Black Ops? No, not Black Ops. Infinity War, Call of
oh,
Duty. No.
a little bit, just a little bit.
Do you remember the loot boxes that had like those pre-made guns?
Yes, yes, I know what you're talking. Yes, yeah,
Is that
it was
is
easy.
that kind of what you're talking about?
It was similar to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Dude, I hated that shit.
Um,
You know how much money I spent on fucking loot crates just looking for those gold guns?
I want to know.
Do you know how much money I spent on Dota 2 is the first question I should ask. Did
I
I ever tell you that?
No, I think you mentioned it, but I probably put it out of my own mind because I don't want to talk about my league purchasing habits back when I had like a normie right out of high school job. So
Yep. No, and that's pretty much what my problem was. I've spent, I think, over 5 grand on Dota 2.
that's not bad.
Compared to most others, no, it's not bad at all. And actually, a
That
lot of the shit that I got was I mean, I was friends with a lot of pros in Dota 2, so like if anybody retired or like stopped playing or just like had extra skins, they would just kind of hand them down to me. So a lot of my stuff that are cool was free, but like I wanted a lot of shit. And like my
yeah.
brother and I played Infinity War together. So every time he got one of the like the gold guns and it was like, dude, this thing's broken as shit. I was like, well, now I need it. So I would just like put my card information in and just keep opening loot boxes until I fucking got it. I don't actually know how much I spent on Infinity War, but I do know it was a stupid amount for a stupid ass gun with a stupid ass skin attached to it. There was like an
See,
AK.
I in the word, I'll say this, and this is like not to make my position any worse. Those cards, not only did it had a combination of guns, it had a combinations of like abilities too. So
Really?
you may have to, even though you got because it went 1 through 6, and it just was like how pretty it got from 4, 5, and 6. Like it just made it prettier. Even though you might have gotten a grade 3, which is like the highest end for cards, you may have gotten the wrong ability. You may have gotten the perfect gun, the primary and secondary, but your ability may have been not it. So you would have had to roll it again, and then roll it again, and then roll it again.
Wait, so was
Fun
each
stuff, right?
reroll like a? I know nothing about this game that you played,
Yeah,
so
no, no,
like, was it
yeah,
each roll reroll a cost, or was it like
yes.
you had to
It
open a
was
new
99
pack?
cents.
Oh,
Oh, new pack, 99 cents. Yep.
damn! And it like
So,
matter. So okay, I'm gonna use the
yeah,
words that everybody says for some games like this. Was it pay to win?
to an extent, yes.
Oh, fucking hell! I hate shit like that. That's what Infinity War felt like to me. It was literally you had to pay to fucking get the good guns. I,
Okay. See,
it's
but the
Infinite
funny part,
Warfare is what I'm
I'll
thinking
say
of.
this, the funny part, the only reason why, and maybe not, no, I take that back. One of the primary reasons why I ended up as a support main was because because they gave you incremental loot boxes for leveling up and winning matches and getting ranks, right?
Yeah.
The first tier 3 card I got that was perfect was for Sparks, and she was a healer support, and she also committed war crimes, which I fucking loved. Um, sorry, cut that.
It's live, dude. It's fucking live.
Um, yeah, but she was the first high-end card I got, or tier 3 card I got. So I was like, oh, I'll just run her and I'll have some fun. I ended up being like the #1 Sparks on West Coast.
There you
And
go.
mind you, here's the dude, the fucked up part about Dirty Bomb was there was an East Coast server and a West Coast server, and they were not centralized for either one. So like, if you think of like what would be best case scenario for West Coast is putting it in like Nevada, so all the West Coast people can connect with somewhat equal ping. And if you get an East Coaster, it's not the worst in the world for them. They'd get like 80 to 90 ping. No, they literally put it in like San Jose, and then they put the other one in like Newark or wherever. I don't know. Like they
Oh
put the East Coast server in
no,
Newark.
really?
Yeah, so all the East Coast people would play on East Coast, and all the West Coast people would play on West Coast. So when I talk about being like one of the top Sparks players, that's only for West Coast. That's not even for North America, mind you. We literally only scrimmed West Coast teams until we were ready to actually compete and we got our contracts. We would compete against East Coast teams. So because like you'd have to server swap. And the funny thing was when you got into a lobby, the only way to get the server to work is once you queued into them, they would all have to leave and then it would switch the server to the West Coast and then they'd rejoin the lobby and then it would fix it to West Coast and then vice versa. And sometimes it would just hit, right? So like if we joined lobby first, it would sometimes go to the East Coast as they were joining. So that it favored them during scrims. It was so fucking scuffed. That's the answer. Sorry. Side quest with Sam yet again. It was a pay to win bullshit game. I know.
Hey,
Shout
you
out to the
fucking
org. They
won.
really thought of us.
You were fucking winning at least. You paid
And
enough.
the other, I'll say this. I found it so funny, and this is like, I think this ties back perfectly to sort of this idea of burnout. The #1 East Coast Sparks player literally didn't have a team, didn't want to join a team, did not give a fuck. I would queue into him sometimes when we were playing competitive, and I literally was like the shittiest little like squeaker rat back. Like I wasn't even a squeaker. I had the exact same voice,
I
but
can't
like
imagine you with a
I
different voice.
I this has been my voice since I've been 12. It's only gotten
Damn.
a little bit deeper. Yeah, but I literally would like teabag him and do things because like I always like I hated queuing against him because usually I was forced on the East Coast to play against him. And like one day he just messaged me like, "Bro, it's not that big of a deal. Like I know you play competitively, but it isn't that big of a deal. And that's when it hit my head that here's probably the number one Sparks player in North America telling me it's not that big of a deal, bro. That fucks with you as like on a different level. Like here I am dominating on my side of the coast, and then he's like statistically better, and he just goes, "It's not that big, bro. It just isn't."
I mean, he was the best. He could have been signed. Like, and that's the thing is, like, he could have
Oh
been
yeah,
signed.
no,
He
he
really
should.
did not give a shit, and he was just like, this dude just on pubs telling you, dude, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you're a competitive player. Who cares? You know, that's that ego just
Exactly.
demolishing thing. And I'm not saying like ego directly, but like that demolishes like your mentality, low key. You know?
And I think and I did turn a corner there because that's when I was getting signed or I was joining my roster, and I loved them to death. But like my ego was just so high when I was told that, and I told the coach that because he always wanted to know when we were pubbing or when we were doing stuff, and it legitimately came out as just like he 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 was just like, bro, you're just bad. If he's beating you in pubs, you're just bad. Get better. Don't get mad at him. Don't teabag him. Just get better. I'm just like, blackout. I don't care. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. He almost benched my ass too. I said something similar along those lines to him.
He's just pissed. He's like, dude, you're gonna get fucking benched if you say that shit to me again.
He was just funny. He like at the time I was fucking pissed, and I know players like I said the same thing to them because they need that. I'm gonna be real. They need that type of fucking slap sometimes. So I don't know.
No, I don't. I don't know. Fucking. Oh, I did. There was an actual third thing that I was gonna say earlier before I left to go use the bathroom, but it was Oh no. Nope. I brought
Oh,
it up and I was thinking I had it and then I didn't have it. Son of a bitch. No, I just fucking playing a game like that and then it dying. Like, how did that affect you? Honestly, did the team die before the game died, or was it game was dying,
no.
team died?
So actually, you got to. You know what the funny thing is? Do you remember the player from the org you guys, Clay and you invited me to? I'm not gonna leak the name yet.
The Call of Duty one, right?
The one that he worked at Netflix with production. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. I remember now. Yes, I know.
Okay. Do you remember the Halo player? He was one
Yes.
of the owners of the team I was with, or I think, or he was
Fat
friends with one of the
chance,
owners.
really?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
still
yeah,
talk to him.
yeah. Yeah. Colorado Clutch. We were working with them directly, and I want to. Maybe they weren't Colorado Clutch. I don't think JL was, um,
You got his name wrong.
but yeah, we were. We basically. Yes. Yeah, I know it. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. I don't think he was, but he knew of them because I talked about Clutch.
Yeah.
Um, we were officially signed with them, and it was a mind fuck because we had scrimmed against teams that were going to be like Cloud9. We were going to scrim against teams that were um, TSMs. Like they were the names of names because like it's much like a pyramid scheme. You got to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it falls apart.
So what attracted you to them? Cause like here's my thing is like I forget about his background. I really do. Like I know
Yeah,
he played Halo. Like I know he's been doing it for years and
I
years and
don't.
years.
Yeah, I
But
don't
like,
know if he was a part of it. That's my
oh,
question. I need to see because I he was with another Colorado team.
got it.
Um,
Oh, I'm saying
I
I
don't know if it was Clutch or not, but we I go ahead with your question. Go ahead.
well no I was sending you the name of the team that I think he was a part of.
Oh yeah, yeah, no. Yeah, we were direct competitors to them, but we really like they knew of us and we knew of them at the time.
Got it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We knew of them. In fact, they had an Overwatch team later on, which I found funny.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
but they were so cool because like the Colorado community really supported them, And what was really nice was West Coast, right? San Jose server, like a lot of it was locality. It's much like the local pub, like unlike League of Legends, where it does kind of pull West Coast and East Coast players to their respective regions, so you don't get ping fucked.
Hmm.
Um, because it's centralized, you still like even if I'm West Coast and I'm competing against another West Coast player, we still have 60 ping. That sucks. But with Dirty Bomb, it was like 30, 40, maybe 50 ping on a bad day, maybe 60 ping if I was on Wi-Fi.
But they only
Um,
had the two centralized servers, right?
they only had the two, yeah, quote unquote centralized, but the
Yeah.
coastal servers.
Yeah. Dude, I can't
Centralized as
believe
they called
Newark,
it.
New Jersey was where one of the fucking servers were. That's insane to me. Not even Florida can reach that server with reasonable ping.
And they didn't care. But think about San Diego, like even though we like San
Oh,
Jose was not a it was 50 ping when you had hardline on a good day. And that was back in the day when internet speeds were not as good as it was now. Um but yeah, like it just going back to the original point, there was this feeling when we got signed because I had no part about it other than hey, did you want to sign? Because Blackout, the rest of the team were like really into it. Like we knew we could win. We knew we could compete. We were pubbing against teams that were on paper should be just slaughtering us. And it was only conditional that like again, I keep on saying this. I never really got paid in esports, and that was a great example. Like I love them to death. We had a signed contract for the team, but not necessarily individual players. So, and that was for protection of the organization, or if someone dropped out, it wouldn't be like we wouldn't fuck each other over out of salaries.
yeah.
So it didn't hurt. I mean, okay, I lied. It hurt a shit ton when we got the news that Nexon was selling out to a Chinese chicken company because here were all these professional players that were coming out. We knew Optic was picking up a team. We knew FaZe was in the pipeline. We knew TSM had a roster. I think we scrimmed against Cloud9. Like we had solid fucking teams. It just it didn't work. Like as soon as we got the news and Nexon put it up on their blog, and no one in their right mind from an esports org, and mind you, I've been on the other side now, would, should, or could invest into that game anymore.
Yeah. Well, and even then, like, it's not worth it because at the same time, like, you know that game's going downhill. Like, you just know. So, you ideally is best part is to pull out as soon as possible because you're not going to see
Yeah.
anything from them.
Yeah, and that is important, and that's why I really respected um Clutch so much is because like here comes I'm trying to remember what we were called at the time, but before we got signed, I have them still on Steam. But oh, Crimson. We were Crimson at the time before we got fully signed.
Crimson
And
Vanguard?
no, just Team Crimson.
Ah, sorry. I worked for Crimson Vanguard like back 2015,
No.
2014.
I'll be honest, they had really sus people on the organization too. Like hindsight 2020, like they were a little fucking weird. But I still really enjoyed it. Like I had so much fun, but I got so depressed. I remember being like not even like I told you even like when I talked to Blackout afterwards, like he's just like you're not gonna be good enough to play from here on out. And that just fucking wrecked me even further. So like I just don't yeah, I don't know what my emotions were other than just sadness and depression. And like when Overwatch did come out, like I was very lucky that it was almost back to back when I used my friend's account to get into beta and meet all the players I did. But that's kind of just happenstance that I got that lucky. Like had the Chinese chicken company purchased it a month later, we would have been in full swing of contracts.
Oh,
We would have been
no.
scrimming. I wouldn't have been able to get into beta for Overwatch, right? I wouldn't have met anyone in Overwatch. I wouldn't have had the career. I wouldn't have been doing anything in that respect, really, to be honest with you, because I didn't like Overwatch at the time. Probably wouldn't have gone through anything or seen you or met anyone else. So, like I said, there's inflection points. Um,
But how
like
do
way
you.
back when I was like,
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
no, no, go. I want to hear it.
How do you move from absolutely getting the rug pulled out from underneath you to trying to compete in another game. Like how I'm speaking specifically on mentality here. And please excuse my slurring a little bit. I have
No,
had one too many drinks.
no, that's all. No, you're good.
We're
But
having
I'll
a
ask
tipsy
a
stream
question
tonight.
back.
Okay,
I'll
go
ask a
for it.
question back to you too. But for me, the best piece of advice was from Blackout, where he just told me the straight fucking truth. I just wasn't good enough, and I knew because like if you see the signs, I think that's an important thing people miss is there are small little signs to things that are your reality, your capital R reality. When I got absolutely demolished by the East Coast guy, the East Coast Sparks player, and he was just heads above me, like just so much better than I was, but I still was the number 2 player. That spoke volumes to like where I was kind of destined to go. Like I was not necessarily peaking in that game, but it was definitely one of my peaks as a player.
Yeah.
So where do I go from there? I can't really transition quickly to Call of Duty because I don't play Call of Duty. I don't play on controller. I'm a mouse and keyboard user.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really go to Battlefield because the European scene is the only scene for Battlefield back in the day. Um,
Now there's no scene.
like I played on a team, huh?
Now there's no scene of Battlefield.
Yeah, I played on one team as a substitute, and like I got to play once, and it was cool, but like it just didn't work. And the whole thing that Black Old told me, Blackout, not Black Old,
He's probably there now.
he was a boomer. Uh, but he just was very clear to me that like I needed like from where I was like as an IGL, I was improving as a human being, and that's where I could grow, right? That was where my growth metric was, right? I was stunted at where I was mechanically for in-game capabilities. Like it
Mhm,
was done. But me as a coach, me as an IGL, that has so much more possibility. Why would I dump more into it's like if you have a pitcher of water and it only holds a cup, why would I continue to fill that one cup up with more water as it's overflowing when it just won't hold any more?
So what
When
was
I
the
could just use
mentality
more to
walking in
fill.
Overwatch then?
I was a little bit of an asshole and was like, I could make it. So I trialed with Cloud9. I got to meet everyone. Like no one probably remembers them, but I got to trial with Reaver, Mendo. I'm trying to remember all the rest of them. There was a couple other Europeans, but those two stuck out because Reaver was notorious for being a racist and a bigot and an asshole, and Mendo was this guy, just this European guy playing in North America and just beat the shit out of people. So like I kind of went in going like, I'll play support, I'll play Mercy. I'm a really good Mercy, and I was. And when I scrimmed against their like B team slash their friend roster, yeah, no, I even though I had the comms, yeah, I was getting hog pulled from around the corner. Um, Reinhardt was using his like his hammer directly against me constantly. I got diva bombed consistently. It just was not. I got ran down so many times. I think back to Hanamura back when it was 2CP. That was my map I trialed on, and I got dumbstered. And I just realized, like, okay, what can I do to learn from these guys and watch these guys? Because at that point, I said, hey, you know what? Can I drop out of trials? Can I still watch and learn the game? And they let me. Like, I remember afterwards, um, because of that, I got to meet Onassis, my coach. Because of that, I reached out to him because they invited me to the OW, the private before it got opened, the private professional Discord. And like, I got so many pointers. I got to hang out in so many scrims. I got to play. Oh, I'm trying to remember who what was. Was it? It was probably Mendo too. Like I played. Oh no, it was Harry. Harry Hook. He was a hog main too. I switched to hog, but we would play hog tag where we throw the hooks at each other and like whoever got because the damage from the hook would do so much or would do so much damage from the hook, and whoever died first would or lose.
mhm.
So I learned so much from them. Like I knew at that point, like okay, I have a good way of talking to these people. I'm learning what the game is about. I'm learning everything around this. Like I know where I need to move to when it comes to coaching. Like I know like okay, I need to learn the maps. I need to learn how to rotate. I need to learn like counter comping, which was something that like when we scrimmed against Fnatic, because Fnatic made
Oh shit!
um
Yeah, you have a Wikipedia entry.
I do
I didn't even know
I
that.
need
I
to
just did a whole bunch of research on you.
I have one Liquipedia entry because rules per Liquipedia, and this is something I really hold to a high standard because I'm a part of the Liquipedia group to maintain and sustain um, players because I hate seeing players not get recognized or staff members. You are given, if you have not, it used to be you had to be on a team for more than a week to get
Exalt.
recognized. Yep. So Exalt was our feeder team, but
Okay.
that was our feeder team, and mind you, I don't know what it says currently as my title or formerly as my title there,
Let me see real quick. It's think it
but
was.
it should.
Oh fuck! Hold on. You were a coach 2019, May 2019 to July 2020.
So I really respect um, the archivers within there because unless it's dictated through the Twitter, unless it's internally known
Clarity.
by other staff members, mind you, I can go and edit and add new titles there, but I still follow the rules, the new rules and the new legislation that's being presented there, where you have to have at least two pieces of evidence or a direct line, or have your owner directly line them to um, confirm you were there or confirm your position. So even though I was head of player development, um, technically that name or that position of coach slash head coach of that roster is true because that was our player development roster. So I'd rather go with coach than head of player development because I don't want there to be any confusion on the Liquipedia because that was the title. That was what was being presented through the organization externally, while internally we were like my manager, my co-coach, or my coach while I was head coaching and our analyst, we were all part of the player development pipeline. I just didn't want there to be any confusion as to what that actually meant because there was no externality of what we were doing other than to other professional teams.
So
So,
I'm gonna open up just like truth circle for a second here.
yeah.
When I first met you, I never even bothered looking up your credentials. Now I'm just scrolling through the Overwatch Wikipedia right now, and I've seen your name's on here a few times actually. You're
Yeah,
like I got
clarity.
one Wikipedia entry when I should have two. First of all, I should have one for Mamba Mode Gaming and Valorant, and I should have one for Demolition Boys and Dota 2, which I do have that one. But what? You've got Arctic GG right here.
Yeah.
I saw you on Exalt.
I was on Jane's tournament, Open Division with, yeah, they're showing me Open Division Season
Yep,
3.
that's the one I just looked at. That one's Arctic, right?
Yeah, that was Arctic. And that's the kind of the crazy thing is some of these don't, again, I love archiving history correctly. Some of these are not correct, and I don't like when it gives me credit where it shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like technically, if I'm seeing this, Ozone, what is this? Ozone Overwatch. This was in Thailand. They have someone called Buffalo, but somehow it reflects back to my name, which is not good. Jane's tournament is what I wanted. There's Rivalcade that was in there. That's where it's supposed to be. Um, where is this? But there's some stuff like Doot Doot. I'm not recognized in Doot Doot at all, even though like I was their coach for a long, long time. Um, and that's something that I get a little bit miffed about just because that's my history. That's something that I spent a lot of time with them on. Um,
Damn, I never even looked.
and
Sorry, I'm like getting mesmerized here just looking up like your history on Overwatch and like, damn, I never even bothered looking
so
up your credentials. Never even bothered.
if you look up Haste, so that was our first and entrance into the professional scene. So if you look up Haste Overwatch qualifier number one,
Yeah,
we ended up in dead last.
I see that. Yep.
So, but the cool thing is, if you look through a lot of those names, if you look at Spicy Boys, I met. So this is a little piece of history from Sam. That's when I got to meet Dream Casper, the problematic player from Boston Uprising or Boston, whatever their name was.
Yeah.
Um, I knew he was going to be a problem. I'll straight up fucking say it. I don't give a fuck. Like he was going to be a problematic player. I knew from that time on. Um, like Decop, Cozy, they were all amazing. Nameless had some amazing fucking players. I think some of them went from Spicy Boys to Nameless. I think pretty sure a majority of the new Envision roster would go. Envision, this is like they got defunct, and then the new roster eventually would join Nameless. I think Nuki was on there too. Shout out to Nuki, she's my girl. I love her to death. Um, Great mentor, great friend. Like honestly, great. Momentary, I took over Momentary. So when Doot Doot went out, with like when we had our falling out, I went to Momentary for a minute. Plasma Snake, Plasma Snake was a amazing human being. So was Octile and Dell. All three of those guys, amazing people. Um, I came on as like a 1 week coach to just kind of get them situated. Um, that I love them to death. Um, but I learned my lesson because like if you see that bird noises, Avast, Jake, Rob 420, Super, Train, Volt, they went on to professional careers in their respective spaces.
Mm.
Like that taught me a shit ton when it came to what we needed to do and how we needed to improve. Because like
So
I think
where?
we did better.
Sorry, but where
No, no,
did
go ahead.
the Overwatch burnout come? Like, where did that happen?
Okay.
Because you obviously
Um.
had to transition somewhere else because you obviously don't do Overwatch anymore.
Yeah. Oh shit. I want you to look at qualifier 4 because that was the qualifier for Haste Overwatch. That was my final, uh, technically, final official tournament with them.
Qualifier four with Doot Doot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys went to
You-
main event
Look at that. We won first place.
right next to CLG too. That's rough.
We beat
That's a,
we beat Zell.
oh, you
So
did 3
that
2.
yeah. So Miso, Hydration, Waffle, Eye Shiny, Mikado, the Mikado and the became really good friends of mine during that time. Like um, Mikado was probably the best person who helped us get
You were obviously
Moth
not with
to where he
Momentary
was.
at this time, right?
No, so after this is when I switched over. If you notice, Plasma Stake. So this was the final kind of hurrah, I would say, because again, when we won this tournament, much like anything in esports, people get a little fucky wucky and want to do more and try and snake you out of positions that you should be at. Um, yeah, not fun. I'm gonna be honest. That was when we had that opportunity to do so and won it. Um, the sharks started to fucking show themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I got bit. But I was very, very lucky in the fact that if you notice there too, if you see show players, Psycho Waffle, he went on to join Triumph and made two other professional players.
Wait, who?
He was professional himself. Psycho Waffle,
What was that in
that
qualifier
boy,
four? Oh yeah, Psycho Waffle in Toronto.
qualifier. Yep, isn't that amazing? Came full circle. I don't remember his real name, but I always called him Waffle. He was the old man of our group. He was legit the real stuff. Like he was OG esports.
Mm.
Um, Momentary. probably was right in between where Doot Doot was at and where Toronto Esports was, where they really did an awesome job. And Counter Logic Gaming was in their own space because they should have been winning more. That's the answer. Like they should have just been wiping the floor with every single fucking person. So
So what happened to let you go and move forward? Like what was the mentality moving forward from there? You've reached yet another peak that wasn't the right mountain. How do you move forward from there?
well, I think the worst part about that, right, is not only did I reach not the true peak, but I got knocked back down, right? I saw the next peak and then someone pushed me down the mountain. And
Sorry, the imagery is funny.
no, and it's yeah, no, I think it's fucking funny now too, because here's the thing. The kind of the fucked up part, which I recognize, right, is oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm good for a bit. I've got a little bit of time.
Okay.
But um I guess it was just vitriol towards my team because not only did they lie, not only did they not get me my professional tags in the Discord because that's how it works is if you get signed regardless of your coach leaving, they're supposed to receive their pro tags um because they were with you during your up, not your down. Um yeah, so it was basically going out of my way to make sure that I made their life a living hell and yeah, I did because they never won another tournament again. They signed with a secondary method, like it was a method tester roster. It was a ghost roster um, underneath Rocket Esports. It was the same owners. I still like them. They're really good human beings. Nothing against them. I talked to them personally about it. Really cool people. Um, but yeah, it was fucked because they even said that there was no, that wouldn't have been a problem. What happened would not have been a problem. It was a misquote on my efficacy of being a coach. Someone had misquoted me as being a coach of another roster when I was learning other under so Rise Nation's nobody coach uh, did a fantastic job, and then someone leaked that the writer wrote it the wrong way, saying that I coached the roster when I didn't. So then people wondered where my history was, and then everyone
Oh,
kind of
you didn't have a choice.
yeah
I forget about this sometimes. I forget that you had that whole like drama shit go
yeah
on. Granted, everybody in our viewership, I trust Sam and say will stand by his side and say that he didn't fucking
well
do it.
I do have the logs, and mind you, I reached out to the writer. They retracted the article and put in that it was their mistake. Um, I still have them blocked afterwards because as soon as I sent the message, I said like I will be reaching out to Liquipedia because they were a part of Liquipedia and seeking that their press tags be removed because you can't be misquoting people
Yeah.
because you cost me my career. I reached out to Rise Nation, and both the owners said that's fucked up. We will make sure to take care of it because one of the players on their team leaked it, and he's now black. He was blackballed in the industry for over 3 years, so he couldn't. The reason why he complained about not getting a job was because everyone at Rise Nation said "fuck you." Um, yeah,
So was it
I
burning
mean when you
bridges that was like the biggest thing about you leaving the Overwatch esports scene? Was it just like too much shit going on and just had to make the hasty
yeah
exit?
yeah I mean that first go like okay, so I went to go to Spicy Boys because they were our direct competitor at the time. Momentary wasn't. I went to Momentary because Momentary had an option and Octile didn't like me and I wanted to prove that I could make another Moth. And Octile proved himself without me even being there. And Plasma Stake did an awesome job and then they would become Envision with Nuki on the roster and I would join them for about a week or a month or whatever it was during that time. Um, so like I proved myself again. It's just the burnout came in later with not that roster, but two other rosters afterwards because I made about every single roster I had at least one player go to a semi-pro slash professional team, not like an amateur team. Um, So like it wasn't all because of me. Like it just was the ability of the team doing well. Uh, that the burnout came in to one to the third roster, which was Clarity. And when, funny enough, if you look through the history, Ultima Wep was both on Doot Doot and not on Doot Doot every once in a while, and
Yeah.
that's how I met him. He was on the last team of Clarity, and that's where it kind of I stepped off the train because no one moved up. There was no
There was
players going
no
to a pro
yeah.
team.
There was no professional move up. Everybody was kind of stuck in where they were, and there was no improvement.
And that was when Owl Overwatch League was stagnant, and even when players were getting trials, it was a boys club. Like I do not like the decisions made from, I'll straight up say it, from Washington Justice. I don't like the decisions that were made at Boston Uprising because I applied and I worked really diligently with Boston Uprising when they got their spot. Like I sent management my roster decisions along with my brother essentially and Sword, and we would have had a job, but they fucked us over. Like with all those things culminating together with Clarity not qualifying to go to contenders and then not getting a contender spot anywhere except for maybe Ultima Web, it cooked me. Like I didn't have an option now. I'm not sure about for you. Like that's where I cooked out and I was done. Like I just said I this is I didn't make a pro. How did I fuck up this one? That was my question.
I mean, I've definitely reached that point of like I didn't make it pro, and how what the fuck is next? Because like I said, I've reached two peaks: Demolition Boys and Alter Ego. And I will also state that both of those peaks. Let me just double check my information here. Demolition Boys was 2019, beginning of 2019, first 4 months. And then my next peak didn't come until 2023. Is that when we first met?
Yes. 20, 23,
Was it beginning of
24?
24? It might have been the beginning of 24. Hold
Hold
on.
on, now I'm gonna go back through our old
I'm literally
messages.
scrolling up all the way. There's a long line. Hey, Llama, if you have some time here today, that was
Yeah,
on
21.
February
Yeah.
24.
Hey. Oh,
Wait, it's
it's
almost our
almost our
1 year.
anniversary. Woo woo.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. That's awesome.
I think
21st
we
is a
should start thinking
Friday. We
about
won't be
moving in
on stream.
together. No, I think we should 1 year, man. We should consider moving in together. This is kind of a big pivotal moment. You know?
Sam, will you be my roommate this year?
Woo.
Ooh,
I can't believe you're
oh
doing the same motion I was doing.
god.
I just
The
looked up.
fingers. Oh my god. But no, and that's the thing is like that was my second peak. So from 2019 to 24, almost 5 years apart was that second
Yeah.
peak. And like all 5 of those years I was still grinding. Like I was still doing stuff in the background. Like I said, Mamba Mode Gaming from Valorant, I was trying to be a coach. And I've switched between 4 or 5 different titles now just to try and like do something. And that's where I'm like, that's where a lot of that burnout comes from is like I've tried 5 different titles. I've tried being a coach, I've tried being a manager, I've tried being a consultant, and like it almost feels like I've hit a wall every time, even when I'm at that top position. And like I'm sure just like being on Triumph and then like not qualifying and then 2, 3 more teams is like a difficulty to you, especially mentally, you know? You put all your worth and all your work into one, like, all your eggs in one basket, I guess is the best way I could put it. And then what do you do
Yeah.
next? And that's kind of like the next thought that I always have whenever I hit that burnout, you know? Like, I hit this burnout that I had start like 2 weeks ago, you know? Of like, I don't know what to do next. I've hit so many walls again. Like, what do? I stopped being a team manager. I stopped, like, kind of interacting with players as much as I was in one scene, and now I'm focused on a million different scenes, and I'm trying to be like an individual within all of them, and it's becoming a little bit difficult and like perturbing to me almost. And I think that's like where a
Yeah.
lot of my burnout is coming from. But the issue is like, what do you even do? What can you even really do? Because like moving title to title isn't really healthy, especially for somebody with a career in this. Because then it
Yeah.
show, and then like the mentality behind it is like every time I moved to a new game, I had to learn a new game. I had to learn the scene. I had to learn the community. I had to learn the scrims. I had to learn how to play the game. Valorant, when I first started coaching, I went head first. I dove straight in and tried to do it. Granted, I was not a very good coach and I had a falling out with a player, but that's besides the point. It it became, and I don't want to say job because like it's not a job. It's never really been a. I mean, it is a job, but at the same time, it's like I've never been paid. I've never been given compensation other than the one time I was doing Dota 2, and it was even like $100 bi-monthly. I made about what, $600 in a year.
Yeah.
It becomes hard, especially when you're doing this as a hobby or a side project, and that's where I'm trying to fix my burnout. Is that this isn't a hobby. This is a set of skills that I have learned diligently through the past 10 years that I'm going to apply to the real world. But then you add the issue of who the fuck knows about esports, you know?
Mhm.
Like nobody
And
knows much about this shit. And that's the issue.
it's a walled garden. I'll say that. It is very much a walled garden, and if you are allowed to walk up to said walled garden and maybe enjoy a lap within it, it's an amazing experience. But unless you are a resident there, it is not a permanent spot. And I think that's why when I stopped with Triumph, I no longer was trying to push forward and face the reality or push it further because it's just like, do I want to live in this walled garden? Let's be real.
Well, you want to see what's outside. Like you definitely do. Mm,
I
I don't know. I don't even really like, and this like whole stream wasn't even really looking for an answer. It was just more of like I need to talk about burnout because like it's happened to me almost a dozen times now, and it's like there is no direct answer. And like I think that's what I've kind of discovered on this podcast today is that everybody deals with burnout in different ways and being able to move it and like deal with it. But what it's what you do afterwards to try and come back or at least improve yourself so that you can come back or move on to the next thing. Like I've moved on 5 different times.
yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, that's probably the closing message then, right? Where you have to figure out what is best for you with those coping mechanisms and those skills. Oh, I won't even say mechanism. Like coping is such a like I don't know. Zoomers have taken over the word, but like a legitimate self-soothing way of trying to create that peace again, whether it be getting your favorite chocolate, whether it be getting like time with your friends, whether it be realigning the goals into a direction that's more appropriate question mark
Yeah.
just into a space that works best for you and won't hurt you any further. So that I think that's where it is for me personally.
Yeah. And like I think that where my main goals are is I want to take this 10 years and I don't want to waste it, you know? And that's like the biggest thing about like the burnout and like how I'm trying to manage it is like I these are skills that I've learned throughout years and years of practice. Like I have not been to college. I don't know anything about Okay, wait, I'm selling myself a little bit short. I need to be able to apply what I've learned into real world situations because it's not. I don't want to waste the time that I spent.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, I don't really know. There is really no answer to how to deal with burnout. It's really a person on person dependent. And like how do
Yeah,
you move forward is the mentality that you have to have when you're entering that stage. And the best part is to acknowledge when you're in burnout. When you're starting to burn out, don't keep pushing yourself. Take a step back. Even if you're working with people, like tell them, like be honest, be blunt. We'll go back to the beginning of the podcast. Like we gotta be blunt. You gotta be truthful with somebody. I don't even know if this was part of the podcast. It probably was our conversation before, but you gotta be blunt. You gotta be honest and you be truthful about who you are and how you are doing. Because if you burn yourself out and you have 10 other people relying on you, then it becomes a problem.
exactly. I
But
think
yeah.
you really hit the nail on the head, and I think that is kind of the best place is be honest with yourself, be honest with other people around you that you actually do genuinely care about you, and be very, very blunt with the people that you aren't necessarily in the best of terms with. So there isn't any sort of questions or retaliation that can come back to you.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I think that like just find your peace, keep your peace, and find that harmony.
Yeah, and like all the people who have spent this much time, there are ways out. Like there are ways that you can apply yourself in other ways other than esports.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm gonna cut off how we somehow
Yep.
we managed today. Thank you for those that have showed up. I appreciate you, and hopefully this will be uploaded tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't deal with East Coast time because I don't know it well enough. But yeah, have a good night, Sam. Thank you very much,
Thank you, you too.
and thank you
Peace,
everybody who
everyone.
ended up joining. We will be back next
Peace.
Sunday at 10 p.m. EST. I don't know what I'm doing here. All right, podcast end.